Well, onward, onward to one more of the great e- exertions, yeah, the great endeavors, Amir says, yeah. Hmm. And this one, like the others, the instruction is rather straightforward, right? When the negative is not around, when an unwholesome state is not around, don't invite it. Just don't invite it. That's all. You know, I every time I really appreciate these. So many of these exercises remind us. Um, it's one of the first insights that we have in these practices, and they're not the happiest insights initially. You know, they remind us of the ways in which the Buddha talked a lot about the ways in which our minds and hearts are simply not trained in certain areas. Yeah, it's not a judgment. There's no judgment in the way he talks about it. It's just it's simply a matter of training in some of these areas. And first of all, it's discovering honestly in our own experience some of the ways in which it's not trained. Not because this is one of the things we can do, not because, oh, what's wrong with me? I must be super slow. I don't get it. This isn't for me. Not because that, just because we haven't trained in this area. You know, if we hadn't trained in playing the piano and we sat up in front of a piano and went, well, we wouldn't expect to be able to play it, right? Without training. Any of you who have played an instrument understand that, you know? So it's just a matter of training. And it's not that it can't be done. The Buddha also said, I wouldn't be suggesting these things to you if they couldn't be done. I'm suggesting them to you because they can be done. They can be done, but they involve training. They involve training. And in a way, one way to see this is that from the Buddhist point of view, is that developmentally, a lot of wonderful things have happened. And amazing developmentally things have happened. And evolutionarily, amazing things have happened. And we've grown a lot and we've learned a lot. And look, we can communicate. We've learned how to go from crawling to walking, and we can actually walk without bumping into too many things, right? We learn how to make our way through the world in many ways. It's how we got here. All that's good. Yeah, all that's good. But along the way, there are some things so far that we have not trained to be better at. You know, it's simple. It's just like that. And of course, this is why some people don't stop, because you start to look and go, oh wow, and it's hard to just take a step with a training. Okay, what are these trainings now, and what how can I do this? And these four great endeavors or exertions are four of these simple trainings on a path to wellness. Susan are both therapists, and there are these diagnoses that we have, and sometimes, that are in the manual and so forth. And we're not big on diagnoses, of course, right? So there's some descriptions, but we often thought if there were a Buddhist diagnoses kind of thing, one of them would be arrested development of self-soothing, arrested development of knowing how to take care of ourselves. No, I don't mean how to take care of ourselves when like brushing our teeth and some of the usual thing, but in terms of taking care of our nervous system, learning how, well, learning how to do better, more so, some of the things that we're talking about this week. Yeah. how to keep the wholesome around. And they're all interconnected. Obviously, we've been putting special emphasis on one of them, each day. You know, how to not invite the negative. What a lovely idea. It's a good idea, right? If you could just imagine that. If I move through my life with having developed this skill of simply not inviting negative thoughts or feelings to come in and to take root in there and to gain traction in there, and then to start to release, as Susan was saying yesterday, these toxic, not so good chemicals in our body and in our bloodstream. Of course, I don't want to do that. Of course, I want to stop doing that. I mean, of course of course, I don't want to invite stress. Right? We would all agree with that. It's just that we have not been trained in how not to do that, and how to not invite stress. Right? We find this. Right. We know this. This is a direct experience. You've all had this. Things can be moving along, and it happens in meditation, but it certainly happens in our lives. Where things are going along okay, and then what happens? It could be a memory. It could be something we hear. It could be something we see. But there's a natural or slight orientation with the wandering mind, to get into trouble, to just create trouble. To create a little bit of discord, a little bit of dis-ease. And the Buddha said one of the first things we have to look at, and all of his teaching, one of the first things we have to look at is more honestly and carefully begin to see our patterns of how we create distress for ourselves. Because if we don't see it and feel it, as Susan spoke to so elegantly yesterday, then we can't take another step with it at all. It's just rolling along. This is kind of the water we swim in. Sometimes I'm in a bad mood, and sometimes I'm in a good mood. This is the way it is. This is just the way it is. This is the way life is. Okay, this is the way it is so far, but there are some trainings in here to suggest that if we get better, it's orienting toward the positive more of the time, and begin to create and cultivate that as a new habit, you could say, as a new pattern, that will bear some fruit. It will bear some fruit in the direction of wellness. If we get better at releasing the negative when it arises, that will bear fruit. If we can invite wholesome states of mind, just spend more time in those spaces, and with that attitude, with that open, accepting attitude, it's a good place to be. It's a more comfortable place to be. We can co-create that. We can practice that. We can cultivate that. But the real the real piece, which we say often, because all of us forget this, and all of us set the bar really high for ourselves, and we want to make progress quickly. But part of it is that it's a gradual process, and we need to appreciate the small moments of breakthrough, the small moments. Oh, okay, I see. I was just able to do that. I was just able to, stay here for a little bit longer without anything negative coming in. That's cool. Whoops. Then it slips away, and something comes in there, either something self-critical or something, well, how does that mood get in there? See, part of it now is looking today's work, right? Focus. When things are moving along okay, you know, don't invite the negative. See if you could just keep it out when it comes knocking on the door. But you have to be awake to see that. You see, this is where mindfulness comes in. You got to see that. Sometimes we're in that mood before. How did I get here? Right? Just like, let me start. This is just one of those junctures, in our experience that we want to start paying attention to. The going is good. How does it go off the track? I'm in a certain kind of flow here for a few minutes. Okay, well, now I just want to pay attention to how that might go off the track. I just want to pay attention. You see, it's that. It's that moment. It's that moment. It's that area of let me just see. This is not a judgment thing. See, it's just I need to see. It's just it's just coming to understand the patterns of the self that get us into trouble. No, that's it. So this is the day's the direction for the day. Yeah, this is the direction for the day. Yeah. Don't invite the negative. Don't invite the negative feeling. Yeah. If it comes, don't let it take root. Just see if it can. No, I want to stay here. I want to stay balanced. I want to stay. I want to stay for a little bit longer. Just a little bit longer. A little bit longer. So much of it is staying with the positive a little bit longer, staying with the negative a little bit less long, having a shorter tail with that. That's part of the path of wellness in this tradition. Yeah, yeah. So thank you for your attention there, and we'll we'll practice together now in meditation. So, but let's open up the body first. Okay. Just loosening things up a bit, softening things up a bit. And when you're ready, slowing it down and lightly closing the eyes. Ah, dropping into that rhythm of the breath and the body breathing. Comfortable breath. It's a little project right there. creating, shaping and discovering the breath to be comfortable. As we carry some tension there too, in our breath, in our breathing. It's important bringing some attention there, softening there. Yeah. I'm taking some interest in this and bringing some care. And in line with today's direction, when you've established some calm, some ease, and some comfort in mind and body and breath, staying there and not allowing something negative to come in, not inviting something negative to come in to that space. Play with that, explore that, see what you discover. Mm. Just staying with this as best you can. Sometimes helpful to see this as a puzzle or a game and bring that childlike curiosity to it. Yeah, yeah. I just want to stay in a relatively positive space of heart and mind and see what might interrupt that. Huh. And when it is interrupted, how can I keep that brief and not get entangled in it? And just return in a simple way to the body, the breath, the moment, right here.
Thank you for joining us. Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much.